We wrap up these videos of being United Methodist Christians with how we approach John Wesley's teachings around personal holiness and social holiness. So I took the general rules for our societies, and I've asked our youth next Sunday before the Super Bowl to take this 1700s language and put it into 2024 English for teenagers. It's going to be interesting what they come up with. But first, the notion of do no harm. Recognizing that our behavior has influence on others. And that we are to first make sure that our alignment with Christ in scriptural Christianity doesn't do harm, doesn't sow seeds of weeds and thorns and thistles. And so we're going to outline some of that from that first rule and put it into 2024 language. Secondly, do all the good you can in all the ways you can, to all the people you can, ever you can, ever as long as you can. And to recognize that good comes from a deep relationship with Christ. As Jesus said, denying oneself and taking up our cross of service and following him, that deeply embedded life of the cruciformed life. And then finally, this social holiness comes, thirdly, as he says, in attending to the ordinance of God. In public worship, in attending to the word, into attending to Holy Communion, fasting and abstinence, prayer, private and family prayer, and sometimes that family prayer is with our small group or our best friends, those closest to us, and in searching the scriptures. Now, all of these private and personal disciplines of social holiness don't make us holier than thou. They are to humble us so we can deny ourselves and follow Christ. But they are one half of the puzzle. Sort of like loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul is one half of the puzzle. The other half, of course, is loving your neighbor as yourself. The other half of the social holiness puzzle is the personal holiness puzzle is the social holiness puzzle. You see how I confuse? You can't have one without the other, according to John Wesley, is love for neighbor. And so the inner discipline must have the outer discipline. And for us as United Methodists, that is often in the ministries we do within our congregation to reach out to children and senior adults and those who are grieving and hurting and those who are hungry. But we found that collaboration with other congregations, our kindred United Methodist churches, makes that we are stronger and better together. We found that in districts like ours, when the tornado went through Rocky Mount, that working together, we can do more together to meet the needs and to touch those who've been harmed. And we're finding now that like two conferences working together can make General Conference a more welcoming experience. We found that two conferences working together can combine creation care and disaster relief to recognize that this crazy weather patterns that we're having is making vulnerable communities in need of our care. And so we see things like conferences doing Methodist Home for Children, in places of retirement homes, hospitals and healing centers. And we come together across the nation doing national outreach for justice and for peace, and global outreaches to teach, to preach, to provide health care, to provide relief, comfort. And so what we've discovered is we are better together in this connectional system in which the inner spiritual disciplines that we do in small groups, in praying together, in studying the Word together, in worshiping together, is poured into social holiness so that together we serve. And it's a rhythm, kind of like at the ocean, the wave comes in, the wave goes out, that call and response. And so social holiness and personal holiness come together in God's call and response of a life that is constantly denying ourselves, constantly taking up our cross, and constantly following. So these two things come together and constantly drawing us into larger and larger connections and deeper connections, so that we're touching the lives closest to us and lives we'll never know by name, because United Methodists work together so far. So next week we'll have videos around resurrection appearances, beginning with Mary Magdalene, as we read the book, The Third Day, by Bishop Tom Berlin. Please get the book and read that, and begin studying the Mary Magdalene appearance story that you'll find in John chapter 20. I'm looking forward to sharing these videos as we let these resurrection appearances prepare us for Holy Week and truly going to the cross with a sense of what we need to let go of, so that in resurrection, Christ can give to us that very thing for which he has grabbed hold of us, that we might hold on to Christ for the very reason he has taken hold of us. May that be our Lenten journey, to find the reason Christ has grabbed hold of us, that we might latch on to him for that very same reason. Go in peace, that our personal and social holiness might come together in a powerful way this Lent. Amen.